Hey everyone, and welcome to my spooky season TBR. I've seen this video quite a few times now from a lot of different people now talking about all the different spooky books they've got in their TBR, so what I thought I'd do today is actually to give you my spooky season TBR. Now, this is not my October TBR by any means. I've still got to do TBR Assemble for that and work out all of my prompts and everything for TBR Assemble, Gothtober, whichever other Halloween readathons I'm doing, things like this. This is more just a list of the books that I'm going to be choosing from and just generally the spookier books I've got on my TBR. So let's get going. I'm starting with the comics simply because it's the easiest because I've only got 3 of them. The first one is the Exorcist series, and this is what I call female supernatural, in the sense that you've got these 2 sisters who actually started out as one person and then ended up being split into 2, so now one of them has a soul and the other one doesn't, if I remember rightly, and now they hunt monsters and they're dealing with like people who've signed deals with the devil. They've had dealing with retrieving loved ones who've been dragged down to hell, demon worshipping ex-boyfriends, fallen angels, all of that kind of stuff. And I loved the first volume when I read it a few years ago. I bought the second volume, but it's been so long since I've read the first one, I'm going to have to reread it again, but that's not a problem for me because I loved it so much. I cannot wait. The art style is also really fun in here as well, and it's just perfect for like light-hearted spooky season stuff, because while it is dealing with demons and all the rest of it, it's still a fun time and it is quite funny. So it's perfect for the people who don't like true horror or anything else like myself, but still want to get in with the spook essentially, and I cannot wait to reread these. There is also the entire Something is Killing the Children series. I got the first one when I was in Newcastle exactly a year ago tomorrow at time of filming actually, and then I bought the rest of them after I read the first one and absolutely loved it. And this is essentially about a monster hunter called Erica Slaughter, who is sent to a town to deal with this monster that is literally killing a bunch of children, and it's spooky, it's bloody, it's gory, it is brilliant. I absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to basically blast through the entire series essentially, because I've read the first one, I'm going to reread the first one and then just blast through the rest of it, and I am so excited. I would show you the inside of this, but there's a lot of blood and guts and gore, so I'm not going to, in case anybody doesn't like that kind of thing, but this is top priority for spooky season, to say the least. I also have Victor LaValle's Destroyer. This one is actually a retelling, if I remember rightly, of Frankenstein, but from an Own Voices perspective of a black child who I think is the Frankenstein's monster, if I remember rightly. I essentially just heard Own Voices, which I want to read more of in general, but especially in spooky stuff because I don't have that much of it. And I also really like the story of Frankenstein, not the original, but retellings of Frankenstein I'm all over, so very excited to read this one as well. It's quite high up my priority list, and I'm just excited because this one comes highly recommended as well, and I'm just always here for retelling and always here for Frankenstein story. As for the actual books, the first one I need to read is Only Ashes Remain. This is the sequel to Not Even Bones, which is about essentially a world where monsters are well known to be around, and our main character's mother hunts down monsters, kills them, then sends them to her daughter to dissect, and then they sell them on the black market. And what happens when the daughter, who is also a monster, ends up on the black market. I loved the first one. It's what I call like Wednesday Addams' perfect book essentially, and I loved it so much I bought the sequel and then haven't read the sequel. So this is actually a priority for this year. I definitely want to try and squeeze this in somewhere into my Gothtober TBR, and I definitely want it read by the end of the year. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. And also it's a floppy paperback, which is great fun as well. I just cannot wait. I'm so excited to read this one. I love the first one so much. There was cliffhangers and plot twists and everything else. Cannot wait. There is also the Book of Living Secrets, which just looks spooky as a front cover, let alone anything else that's going to happen in it. And this one says it's about essentially a group of girls who love this book series, and then they are told that they can then enter the world of this book, and they do. And then it says, and when they find the world of the novel turned upside down, the lavish balls and star-crossed love affairs now interlaced with unspeakable horrors, the girls realize realise that something sinister is behind their foray into fiction, and they will have to rewrite their own arcs if they hope to escape this nightmare with their lives. And that just sounds perfect for this time of year. It sounds spooky, it sounds slightly horror-y, things like this. I cannot wait to read it. I've heard amazing things about this one, and I just think the cover just works perfectly for this time of year as well, so I'm expecting good things. I'm definitely expecting good things here. I also have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I bought this ages ago. Essentially, this one is following Alex when she goes to Yale. She ends up monitoring Yale's secret societies, and then there's a dead girl on campus, and the societies are far more sinister and extraordinary than anyone could ever imagine. There's forbidden magic, necromancy, things like this, and it just sounds perfect for this time of year. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, so I desperately need to get to it, and I just haven't yet for absolutely no reason, so I just need to get on with it. So this is me hoping I actually get it onto my spooky season TBR this month, but who knows? I also have Shiverton Hall. This one was actually gifted to me by Abby of Pelennor, so thank you very much, Abby, for gifting me this one. But this is essentially, it's a school with a sinister reputation, and its newest pupil, Arthur Bannister, is about to find out. But the spine-chilling tales, evil spirits and unearthly noises are the least of Arthur's worries. It's his friends he needs to watch out for, which just sounds brilliant. Again, you've got spine-chilling tales, all the rest of it. I love a good spooky middle grade, and this sounds like the perfect spooky middle grade for this time of year. Then if I'm in a vampire mood, I also have The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. I loved Holly Black's Spiderwick Chronicles, but I've never really tried out any of her other work. I'm really in the mood for vampires, I'm not gonna lie, but I have asked Hannah of Ladder M and Waypoint Books for some vampire recommendations, so this one may not get read. I may read something from her recommendations, I don't know, but vampires are just, I love vampires. I recently watched First Kill and absolutely loved it. I love vampires anyway. They're one of my favourite creatures. I grew up on vampires, watching things like Blade and Underworld, stuff like that, so this is very much high on the list at the moment, but it depends on whether or not I get any other like vampire books in the meantime. But at the moment, this is my vampire option. And then also have two Shauna Maguire books. The first one is Final Girls. This is a novella. I don't know what it's about further than the fact that it's called Final Girls. That's all I really wanted to know, because this year Gothtober's theme is Final Girls, so I was like, well, there's no better time to read it than now, so that is 100% going to be on the October TBR somewhere, and I cannot wait to read it. I then also have Into the Drowning Deep, which is under Shauna Maguire's name of Myra Grant, and this one is essentially murderous mermaids. So if I'm in the mood for murderous mermaids, it's right there. And also Into the Drowning Deep becomes highly recommended, and I think it's about time I got to it, so definitely going to be trying that one out as well. Hopefully this year, maybe next year, I don't know. And then back to physical books, the last two I have are technically Dark Academia. The first one is The Devil Makes Three. This one is about two students who stumble upon an ancient book hidden in a secret tunnel beneath their school library, and they accidentally release a devil from the book, essentially, and he will stop at nothing to stay free, essentially. And I'm here for like things with like devils releasing things out of books, things like this, and this may actually go well for a reading vlog that I'm doing with Inkheart and Tilly and the Book Wanderers, thinking about it, because this is also about book magic, so I may add this to that reading vlog as well. I don't know, I've just had that thought. But either way, book magic, which is something I love, the devil, which is something I love to read about, watch about. I'm a big fan of Lucifer and Sandman and their Lucifer interpretations, so very excited to see what this one does with the idea, and also the fact that loads of people love this book, so hopefully I'm going to be one of them. And then finally I have The Grimrose Girls, which is about a group of girls who basically discover that their school has had a history of murders in it, and they learn that all of the past murders are connected to ancient fairy tale curses, and that their own fates are tied to the stories, dooming the girls to brutal and gruesome endings unless they can break the cycle for good. I am here for this. It sounds very like fairy tale retelling in that kind of sense. It's got brutal murder, all of that good stuff. Hannah actually recommends this one for Gothtober as well, so this is definitely going on the list. I think it's got LGBTQI+ rep and disability rep, so that's great as well. I think there's asexual representation. I could be lying on that one, but this just sounds absolutely perfect for this time of year. This is definitely going on the TBR. And that is where I'm going to leave the spooky TBR here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me if I need to add The Devil Makes 3 to my TBR. I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a vampire related emoji down below to let me know that you're here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, which is going to have a ton of Halloween-y stuff coming up over the coming weeks as we get towards Halloween. If you're interested in that, as well as a link down below as well to my Etsy and Redbubble store, which sells bookish merch like this Read More Books hoodie if you're interested in that. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos, well, hopefully read these books, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!